Here is how it's all going Monday morning, March 31st. So, the foreign minister of Pakistan is off to China. Despite a shoulder injury he received, he tripped, he fell, and he has a hairline fracture on his shoulder and is in extreme pain. All this to say that despite that, he's on his way to China. And why? My thinking is that even Pakistan recognizes that, one, they're dealing with a madman in Trump, and two, that Netanyahu is in full control. And there is no leverage Pakistan can exercise at this point, because no amount of good sense, no amount of damage to the world economies is going to shift the reality that we have a US president who is literally out of control and probably is suffering some severe mental health issues, and a megalomaniac, bloodthirsty man in Netanyahu who's waited 40 years for his megalomania to work. So probably the Pakistanis are saying they really need another grown-up in the room. And the next superpower they can turn to is China. This is a very worrisome situation. Trump tried to manipulate the market last night on Air Force One on his way back to Washington, D.C., by talking about how well the talks are going with Iran. That didn't do anything to the markets. Brent crude was at 116. Right now, it's trading at 114. Important to know that it's trading at 114 because this morning, Trump did exactly what the markets are predicting. First, he said there's a whole new regime that they could work with, good people. Then he said, we don't know these people. Then he said, I will take Iran's oil. Then he said, I will take their nuclear dust. Then he said, I will obliterate Iran, and laid out all the possible war crimes that he would commit. The market is not moving because the market is preparing for further damage. Not a reduction in damage, but for further damage, and for no other reason but that the President of the United States is sounding more and more like a madman, and that everything in Iran is now outsourced fully to Netanyahu. American lives have been put into Netanyahu's hands. America's well-being is at the mercy of Netanyahu. Make no mistake. Netanyahu has been attacking and attacking and attacking. The only one who's been consistent in what he plans to do has been Netanyahu. He plans to do exactly what he did in Gaza. Why? Because he knows that the Western leadership is all in with utter destruction of Iran. And they will not do a damn thing. That he can put band-aids on the why was Palm Sunday mass stopped, put a band-aid on that. Why was the CNN crew attacked by that IDF unit in the West Bank? Put a band-aid on that. Pretend that immediate action was taken, and so on and so forth. Go on massacring civilians in Lebanon, hospital, paramedics, ambulances, civilians, keep on taking territory, do everything possible to crush Lebanon down to a pulp, turn it into Gaza, as he's been saying. Same with Iran. University after university is being attacked, and they're saying they've attacked it. Water plants, universities, research centers, residential areas. However, today's news should shake every American to the core. I thought it was a bad dream when I saw it early this morning, the news flash, but here it is. The New York Times is reporting, and the headline reads, "New U.S. missile hit Iranian sports hall and school, analysis shows." The Pentagon used missiles untested in combat in a deadly attack that struck civilian sites near a military compound on February 28th, according to visual evidence examined by the Times and weapons experts. Now, this is not about Minab. This is in addition to Minab. On the first day of the war with Iran, a weapon bearing the hallmarks of a newly developed US-made ballistic missile was used in an attack that struck a sports hall and adjacent elementary school near a military facility in southern Iran, according to weapons experts and visual analysis by New York Times. Local officials cited in Iranian media said the strike and others nearby in the city of Lamred killed 21 people. It was a sports hall where young girls, I think it was a volleyball team, was practicing. It was well identified as a sports stadium. Excuse me. And yet it was hit. Here it is. The sports hall at the time of the strikes was being used by a female volleyball team, according to Amir Said Iravani, Iran's representative to the UN. Photos and videos posted on a social media account linked to the school show the premises were regularly used by children. The sports hall has also for years been publicly identified as a civilian use facility on readily available digital maps, including Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Wikimapia, according to the Times. These are war crimes. This is where we are on Monday morning, March 31st. Our taxpayer money has gone to committing war crimes. This news is almost too much to bear. The other piece of news, excuse me, that affects Americans in general is that Republicans are planning to defund health. You heard that right. Defund more of our health in order to pay for the Iran war. Axios is reporting that. That's the plan. Take more money out of Medicaid, Medicare, and whatever. Destroy Obamacare. Further, hand over $200 billion to Trump to commit more war crimes in Iran. It is hard to imagine that Trump will not use ground troops. I think the Armada, in his mind, there is some video game or some movie playing in his mind. And he is going to execute on that. And he is going to get so many Americans killed. Netanyahu is saying, oh no, Israeli troops are not going to join the Americans. We have no plans to have Israeli troops deployed in a ground invasion. Really? But since Netanyahu is in charge of this war, he plans to use American servicemen and women to do the dirty job and to get killed. See how it works? When American troops have said they do not want to die for Israel, this is what they're talking about. Because it's literally panning out to be American troops dying on behalf of Israel, with Netanyahu having the temerity to say that he's not going to risk Israeli troops. Wow. So today we have no amount of market manipulation is helping. And if you're seeing the market rise in any way, it's because of profit taking from the softening of the market over the last few days. So probably investors are going in to try to buy while the prices are soft. That's just basic. Oil markets are really not moving. The oil futures is where we really need to look at what's going on. It's not working. Meanwhile, we have reporting of grave war crimes. An untested weapon is used again on children. So they dropped it on sports center, another school, and a residential area, which was clearly outlined, apparently. Ground level and satellite images of the aftermath show the sports hall with scorch marks and partly collapsed roof. Footage from inside the school shows blown out windows, fire damage, and splashes of blood. It's called the PRSM. The PRSM's intended use is to kill enemy troops and destroy unarmored vehicles, and it can fly more than twice as far as any other missile in the Army's arsenal. And it goes on and on, describing horror. So not only did the US commit one war crime, they committed multiple war crimes. This is what our taxpayer money has gone to do. I think we really need to wake up and understand that perhaps, a lot worse is being planned. Tasneem, a semi-official Iranian news agency, published the names of the 21 people it said were killed. An Iran-based journalist, Nagin Bagheri, wrote about two of the victims. Helma Ahmadizadeh, a 10-year-old fourth grader, and Ilham Zairi, a fifth grader, both of whom were at volleyball practice when the missile struck. Khabar-e-Janoob, an Iranian newspaper, reported on the death of a sports coach identified as Mahmoud Najafi. So this is the news from Monday morning, and I'm sorry to say, none of it is good. The President of the United States is threatening to obliterate Iran. Netanyahu is saying he will obliterate Iran but not commit ground troops. The Pakistan foreign minister has made an emergency visit to China. The oil markets know that they are in deep trouble and that worse is to come, I think all countries are embracing the idea that they must brace for impact because they're dealing with a madman and a megalomaniac who is hell-bent on murder, destruction, war crimes. Nobody is there to stop him. Nobody is there to challenge Netanyahu except perhaps China and maybe Pedro Sanchez of Europe, who has now banned US flights over Spain's airspace. Let me be clear. Pedro Sanchez will not permit US military assets using Spain's airspace to attack Iran. So he knows what's coming. He knows what is coming. We should all be very worried.